Pay. That's an easy one. It's an easy joke.
That is a bottomless pit.
It's a Business Pants Friday show here at March 21st Studios. Is it spring? Does that mean it's spring? I don't even know.
It's technically spring.
Doesn't feel like spring. Featuring analyst hole Matt Moscardi. He's the one everyone's here for. Matt Moscardi. That's the
one. They're not.
Matt Moscardi, LinkedIn champion. On today's weekly wrap up, Nelson Peltz hates woke ice cream. I didn't even know there was woke ice cream.
Wow.
Self-hating Cybertrucks and anti-ESG man babies. This feels like what we do every week. I feel like we cover that all the time. Yes.
I do feel like man baby is the new theme of this show.
It's our new world order, really.
I feel like we need a mascot, a man baby mascot.
Our show. Oh, maybe this platform can be the mascot. Our show today is being sponsored by FreeFlowAnalytics.com, the only platform measuring board power, connections, and performance for free. And most exciting is that whoever works the code over at FreeFlowAnalytics.com has finally woken up, and they've gotten rid of that horrible Kash Patel photo, FBI head of it. And now here's the headline piece now. I don't know why it's this. I don't know how it chooses the headline, but the article is called "Is Planting Trees DEI? Trump Administration Cuts Nationwide Tree Planting Effort." I like that. That sounds good. But there's a slew. If you're into this kind of stuff, there's a slew of linked articles like that on the freeflowanalytics.com.
Like, look, what platform? You can't go to, I don't know everybody at Free Flow Analytics. I only know a couple of the people there, but you can't go to the ISS website or and get curated, important, probably mildly sarcastic news. You can't do that.
It's not sarcastic. How dare you?
I mean, it's very real news.
Nor can you get performance data on individual directors. Nor can you get an analyst team that will respond basically 24/7 because they're desperate and have no friends.
Because they want to eat. That's correct. Well done. All right.
You ready for this story of the week? Come on.
Yeah, story of the week. Story of the week.
In no particular order. And I'll start with the story we already covered on a show earlier this week. The headline is basically Jamie Dimon unloads on proxy advisor ISS.
I don't like the word unloads. It feels...
Yeah, it's weird. So Jamie's saying that both Glass Lewis... I don't know why they highlight ISS there, not the duopoly. Glass Lewis and ISS should be, quote, gone and dead and done with. That's what he said. He actually said that. Gone and dead and done with. Jamie, is it not enough that they're just gone? You want them dead too? I don't get that.
What would Jamie Dimon think about Free Flow Analytics, do you think?
Oh, please. First of all, he wouldn't think about Free Flow Analytics. But he should actually. There's a lot of fascinating data. And then the second thing he said is that anyone who gives them money, shame on you.
Ooh.
Oh, jeez. Oh,
yeah, it's basically like donating to your local clan, like your local clan member or your local Ku Klux Klan, right? Shame on you.
Defamatory.
I don't know what he's saying though. It's a little, but he's stepped into the modern day vernacular, which is just to spew bullshit and to just have a tirade and just say stuff, just say crazy stuff.
I love getting forced into a corner where, for the last 3 years, we've had to defend BlackRock because the ESG woke charges against them are so ridiculous. Now we have to defend ISS from Jamie Dimon says.
I'm not going to defend them. I don't care. I don't want them gone and dead and done with. Although I would like a bunch of their clients to move over to freeflowanalytics.com, but they don't need to be dead for me to feel
No, but
okay.
Anyone who gives them money, shame on you.
I don't know what that means. What does that even mean?
Part of the goal of giving ISS money is to actually exercise your fiduciary duty.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Vote your shares and to understand governance structures.
But this is the dork, Matt. This is the dork who came out a few months ago and was joking around that he doesn't have a boss. I haven't had a boss in 20 years. He's a goofy guy. He's a goofball.
But I'm just saying, shame on you for trying to do your fiduciary duty. It would be better if you didn't. Also, I have no boss is not really I don't know what governance expert is sitting around being I agree with Jamie Dimon now. You sound like a blowhard. Shut up.
All right, that's the first story. Second story is a bit of a mouthful, so I don't really know. No pun intended. I don't really even know how to start with this one. Unilever has. Here's the quote. I'll start with the headline. Unilever hit new levels of oppressiveness. Ben & Jerry's claims as its CEO was sacked over social activism. That's a terrible headline. That's too much. Too verbose. That headline. Too much going on there. So, in a nutshell, Ben & Jerry's has accused Unilever of firing the Ben & Jerry's CEO, David Stever, over his support of the brand's progressive politics. Now, here's where they're suing Unilever. They filed something in district court on Tuesday. Here's where it gets interesting because we just really haven't covered a case like this. So Ben & Jerry's is a subsidiary of Unilever.
Yeah.
But it has an interesting structure. It has an interesting governance structure. So Ben & Jerry's has its own independent board of directors.
Ooh,
and it has an independent board specifically tasked with preserving the company's social mission. And there's probably not a more famous brand's mission than Ben & Jerry's. I mean, everyone knows that they're a bunch of lefties and a bunch of
hippies. They're a bunch of hippies,
weed smokers. Yeah. When Unilever acquired them in the year 2000, they had merger agreement protections. The 2000 acquisition agreement required consultation with the board, the Ben & Jerry's board, for key leadership decisions, including hiring or firing the CEO. And also the board exists, it has a specific mission. It exists to prevent the dilution of the company's activist identity. So that's the backdrop. What's interesting that I pointed out that front of the show is that one of the members of the Unilever board is anti-woke machine himself, Nelson Peltz, member who got angry that the cast of Black Panther was too black. Remember the Disney movie Black Panther?
I remember that, yeah.
Yeah. Also, I do want to point out this fun little side note. And I don't know if this is a giant troll on the rest of corporate America. Maybe this is a giant troll on all of the anti-DEI weirdos. But listen to the Ben & Jerry's board, Matt. First of all, yes, the CEO is on the board. It is a white man, David Stever. He's the guy who, although he's not there anymore. He just got fired. But he was on the board. And this is a company in Vermont. And I don't have to tell most people in the United States that Vermont is one of the whitest states in the union. Maybe the whitest.
That's correct. I think I saw all black person once in
Listen to the board of Ben & Jerry's. It used to be the CEO, a white guy, but then there are 4 women of color, one of whom is the chair. No, that's it. No white women, just 4 women of color, and then 2 black men. That's the rest of the board.
Wow, I love that.
Are they trolling? Are they trolling like Elon Musk? Are they trolling like that's incredible?
I think it's been that way for a long time.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, wow, they managed to find experts. How did they do it? Incredible.
This feels like I don't know how to care about this. I don't know how to.
Here's the other reason why I included this is that
it's so weird.
Is that I was performing my civic duty this week, my jury duty. That's all I'll say. And and most of the people there know what I do and what we do, and they know about our podcast. And
that's our whole listening audience.
I know, right? But I did have a woman come right to me, and this is what she wanted to talk about. She was very jazzed up about this situation. She wanted to know our perspective, and so this is one of the reasons why I included it. And then when I looked into the governance details of it, I don't remember seeing a subsidiary with this type of board arrangement. And it reminded me a lot of the OpenAI situation, right? So it's one of the reasons why I included it.
Right? Because it's like a for-profit company that owns effectively a social mission-driven semi-nonprofit, right?
And the difference being that the board is not being allowed to do its job here, whereas at OpenAI, the board was doing its job, and then it wasn't allowed
got fired,
to.
Right?
Yeah, so I don't know. I just thought I'd throw this out there. I just found the whole thing pretty fascinating.
Look, I think it's highly
Unilever.
I think it's highly unlikely. So what Ben and Jerry's would have to prove, and I'm no legal scholar, obviously.
Well, you might be. You listen to Ann Lipton's show, Shareholder Primacy.
That's true. I do
on our
listen to
networks
Ann.
and the Free
I
Float Media
feel
networks.
scholarly as a result.
Yes.
But what Ben and Jerry's would ostensibly have to prove is that the CEO was fired for his activism, and that contravenes the merger agreement from 2000. What Unilever would have to show is that no, that guy just underperformed.
Well,
right?
Matt, welcome to 2025, where we're still waiting to find out why the Kroger CEO was fired. Because
that's right, we don't know.
After 50,000 years of service at Kroger, he's fired, and shareholders still don't know why. Nor do customers, other than personal misconduct, whatever that means. And now Unilever has they have not publicly disclosed a reason for the firing of the Ben and Jerry's CEO. We don't actually know why. They won't tell us.
What I find fascinating about this story actually has nothing to do with the CEO. It's like because like this feels like the traditional problem of how money trumps mission, right? Like you like it. That's what ChatGPT did. Like capital just crushed labor and mission and humanity, right? Like the capital doesn't care about humans. But what I like about this, or what's interesting about this, is no one's talking about the fact that like no one's shooting Ben and Jerry's cartons of ice cream, and
because they love it, because they love the ice cream.
That's the thing. Like this is like the wokest company that you could arguably think of.
Absolutely. And it's also one of the most beloved brands in America. Yeah, really, across the world. I've seen Ben and Jerry's out of America too. Here's the other thing, Matt, is that the founders of Ben and Jerry's, Ben and Jerry, have already gone to Unilever saying we want to buy our company back, and Unilever, of course, said no. But there should be, but shouldn't there be an escape hatch? Shouldn't there be like just sell it back? It's Ben
and
it's like
Jerry,
a beloved brand. Yeah, I mean, what are we gonna? We're gonna get rid of the Department of Education, and we're gonna get rid of Ben and Jerry's. This is what you're gonna do to us? And I blame Nelson Peltz for all of this, because Nelson Peltz not only sits on the board of Unilever, but he also a big Trump supporter. So he's to blame for everything I don't like.
How long will it be before the secret recording of Nelson Peltz at a Unilever board meeting comes out where he says, "Why do we need all the black people on the Ben and Jerry's board?" Like, when is that secret recording coming out?
All right, well, that's the second story of the week, whether you like it or not. The third one, I think you're also gonna raise an eyebrow too. But I just wanted to include this because I want to honor this story, and this is a story that bothered me in the past. And so I don't know. I just felt like it was important. There are a lot of headlines on this. This is a lawsuit that was filed this week. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Boeing sued for wrongful death by family of whistleblower. Ooh, now, I just want to remind people of this strange story. This was a guy who was a quality manager. His name is John Barnett, and he's worth honoring. This guy was a quality manager at Boeing for almost 3 decades. And he was one of the quote-unquote whistleblowers who was testifying in the OSHA case against Boeing. And on day 2 of his testimony, at that night, he went into his truck and he killed himself. And and he had another day of testimony coming up, and Boeing sort of brushed the story under the rug. The business news brushed the story under the rug. I hope the family gets somewhere. I don't know. I just wanted to honor this. I don't know if you think it rises to a story of the week situation, but this is just one of those instances where I'm amazed what the business news is willing to not talk about, because it's just a creepy story. I mean, this guy was ostensibly putting his life, his career on the line to really just save people's lives, maybe just to. Right, so that we don't have firmer whistleblower protections in place and now, of course, with the new administration, I don't even know that OSHA is going to exist anymore.
Yeah, you can't. Two things strike me. That's one of them. Right? Yeah, there is like there's not going to be testimony in front of OSHA anymore, and there's no whistleblower protections that are likely to stick around. Like, the last thing Elon Musk wants is a whistleblower at Tesla. So I can't imagine that's going to be a thing. Right. And frankly, actually, like tangentially, Musk has been pushing the FAA, or the Transportation Department, to stop reporting on their crashes that use autopilots. They don't want that anymore.
It's an important point because we're going to cover the latest Tesla recall soon, but those recalls do come from the government. They come from safety oversight organizations. So it's not like
who now
Tesla
have no
itself,
staff. Yeah.
It's not like Tesla itself is looking after its stakeholders saying, "Oh shit, our cars are falling apart. We should actually get them back in and fix them." They're actually not doing that.
But in this case, it actually feels very Theranos to me. It feels like there were, in the book, there's like long accounts about how Theranos would badger any potential whistleblower with lawsuits, and some of the worst, lawyers or most aggressive lawyers in the country. The board would be intimidating them. There's a lot of intimidation. But there is something you can do here, okay?
What's that?
You can vote those fuckers out. Half of the board is still here, right?
Yeah.
Like, the guy you don't like, Dave Calhoun, managed to parachute out with millions of dollars of a golden parachute that investors allowed him to have.
Mm-hmm.
But there are board members still on this board who would be the ones harassing the whistleblower, right?
Like, shockingly, Matt, according to our data, or the data on freeflowanalytics.com, only 2 of, and this is a pretty big board. It looks like 13 members. Only 2 have been appointed since 2024. So there's a lot of older directors on that board.
And one had actually just left. Sabrina Susan just left the board. You have to wonder, and this is pure conspiracy theory, but you have to wonder, someone who's an engineer, an aerospace engineer, who's had to work her entire life to get recognition for the job that she's done, the way she's been successful. You wonder if she joins a board like this that has been traditionally very clubby, according to the data. That's just the data saying that these are people who know each other. It's very clubby. They actually lack core knowledge in aerospace and engineering. That's not a thing on this board. You have to wonder if that person enters this board and something like this comes up and they're sickened by it. And because there's no explanation given for the fact that she left the board after just 2 years.
Yeah.
She just left the board. I wonder if, when I read a story like this, we bury a story like Sabrina Susan leaves the Boeing board. You have to wonder, these are little tiny crumbs of the culture problem at Boeing may not have shifted at all. And the fact that they're cozying up with Musk, partnering with him on their Starliners, and they're cozying up with Trump. Aren't those all sort of little clues that they don't want you to look at them anymore? Stop looking at us. We're not fixing stuff. We can't fix stuff. We don't know how to fix stuff. Something's going on.
I will say that is one of the hardest things about having a smaller startup company without these huge, we're playing in fields with some of our competitors that at other media companies have huge staffs, huge research staffs, even just for their podcast, let alone for the articles that they're tagging and putting out there. But it is stories like this that I wish I wish we had more tentacles to cover these stories more regularly, because if we don't highlight them week to week, they do kind of get swept under the rug. And I do want to point out, you kind of referenced this, that the lawsuit does allege, and I'm just saying this because it does speak to what you can do, which is you can vote directors out. The lawsuit alleges a, quote, campaign of harassment, abuse, and intimidation intended to discourage, discredit, and humiliate him until he would either give up or be discredited. And they're talking about the company. They're talking about Boeing.
Yeah.
So, right?
Correct. They are talking about the company. I don't like any of these stories.
No. Well, you're not going to like this last one. And I know you have some of these stories in the Assholies of the week. So, and we're struggling this year, Matt. We don't know how to cover Tesla and Elon Musk because we know we should. We don't want to. He's never really the story of the week or the asshole of the week because he's omnisciently an asshole? He's like
it's
the
like
he's the god of
write
assholes.
in every single week. It's be boring. Like,
But
also Tesla,
yeah.
the company, not a company. So can we stop referring it to it as a
what
company?
really is it? It's like
it's a piggy bank.
It's a boutique car company with shitty cars that acts as a piggy bank for its leader, right?
I just think of it as the piggy bank, right?
Yeah.
Because all he does is, to buy Twitter. He didn't sell Tesla shares to buy Twitter. He used Tesla shares as collateral, so he wouldn't have to pay tax on the sale of the Tesla shares, and then borrowed all the money against that collateral. So there are a bunch of banks now and individuals who may think Elon Musk should not be doing any of the things that he's doing, like sig heiling at Trump, on the White House lawn, whatever he's doing. Tesla's in the shitter. The stock is down. But what is the likelihood that they call him up and call the loan? Right? Like what?
Yeah.
Like they say, like, we want that collateral. Give us the collateral.
Just stop
like,
on that one.
It's just
Yeah.
not going to happen because there's
Yeah.
too much risk now to them. So they all got in bed with the richest man in the world, who turned out to be, a Nazi and a fairly horrible person.
A neo-Nazi, Matt.
He
A
basically
neo-Nazi.
still holds the shares, and he's still his piggy bank. It's just the piggy bank, and he's still demanding more money. He still wants another $50 billion.
To support Matt's point, there is a great article in Fortune this week. The headline being the true genius of Elon Musk is his subsidy harvesting strategy, according to a political science professor at USC. Good read.
No, it's not according to that. We've been talking about that for literally 5 years. We've been saying this guy's not a fucking genius. Stop talking about him like a genius.
I like Fortune because I guarantee you, Matt, there's a lot of listeners at Fortune. In fact, some of the Fortune writers follow us on. I think Fortune likes our shows and listens to our shows. But go ahead. I mean, I want this stuff to be printed. Here's the reason why I included Elon Musk this week in the story of the week is that whenever there's like a shift kind of in our universe, I kind of add it. So the headline I focused on was longtime Tesla investor demands Elon Musk resign as CEO. So we're getting a little bit closer to some of the investors waking up, I guess. But there's a bunch of other silly headlines this week that I don't know how many of these overlap with yours, but I'll just quickly say the headlines and we can go more into depth and assholiest if you want. But some of the fun headlines this week: Elon Musk says he has no idea what he did to make everybody so mad at him.
I love that.
One of the quotes from that story is that I've never done anything harmful.
Yeah.
That's his actual quote. Tesla just recalled basically all the Cybertrucks sold in America. This is from the Financial Times. A huge amount of money is missing from Tesla. 1.4. Again, this is not from some rag like freeflowanalytics.com. This is the Financial Times reporting that $1.4 billion seems to have vanished in thin air.
Just for context sake, the reporter that reported that in the FT, the incredibly lefty woke FT,
that nobody said ever,
the reporter that reported that is the same reporter who uncovered the accounting fraud at Wirecard.
Okay.
Like the same exact person.
Another big scandal,
Yeah, uncovered a massive scandal that sunk the company.
Great documentary on Netflix about Wirecard. Also, how about this one? This is like back to the Amazon drivers peeing in bottles. This reminds me of this story, Matt. I never thought we'd be so lucky to be graced by this type of story again. Tesla workers in Germany say they don't have time to use the bathroom.
Oh, finally.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
I've been desperate for some bathroom stories.
And then a few other good ones. This one nobody wants to hear. Musk. This is from, again, these are from reputable. This is a right-wing newspaper. This is reputable source here. Musk set to receive top secret briefing on U.S. war plans for China.
Yeah.
Elon Musk.
They already called that off. They already
okay.
called it off because of the reporting on it.
And then, good. So, another
the
reason
free
why
press sucks.
Another reason why we need journalism more than ever. And finally, this gem. How about these two headlines as a gem? First, Tesla board members, executives sell off over $100 million of shares in the recent few weeks.
Yeah.
That let alone like the close to $1 billion they've sold in the last year. And then this other headline that comes after that, Elon Musk tells Tesla workers, "Don't sell your shares."
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, you know what
an asshole. I mean,
you know how they do-
I can't
you know-
imagine that he actually trumped his assholery, but there you
Here's
go.
the amazing part. This is the gamesmanship that happens when you're talking about pay and boards, and because nobody cares about boards, this is what actually happens. A board gets traditionally they get a 1-year vest on their options that they're given, so because you never know if they're going to get voted out. And just because Tesla's board has a 3-year or it's a classified board, it's a 3-year term, does not necessarily mean they don't get the 1-year vest. By process, they actually say they set a schedule of when they're going to sell shares. Now, you can sell shares before or after that, but it's outside of the process and you have to disclose things. But often what they'll do is suddenly change the schedule.
Yeah.
There's no rules. They can set a schedule 3 years ago that says on every October 15th, the so-and-so will sell their shares or cash out their options or whatever. And then, on September 12th, they'll say, oh, well, this year, the process is going to move to September 15th when the share price is really high or when they want to cash out their shares. We're just going to change the schedule. And there's not actually rules about when they can or can't change that schedule.
Yeah, and it's all under sort of this guise of being like, well, I'm not really involved. It's automated.
Exactly.
I'm not benefiting off this process. I don't know what's happening.
I don't know. It's just the money appeared in my account. Everybody, we all have that exact same problem. I don't know. Money just appeared in my account today. I don't know. I love that.
And just to point out a few of the instances of this, James Murdoch, board member, Elon Musk's friend, James Murdoch. He's on the board of Tesla. Did you know that?
What?
He just sold $13 million of shares like he needs the money. Did you know that Elon Musk's brother is on the board? Kimball Musk? He just sold $27 million. This is the last few weeks, Matt. $27 million of shares. And then the independent board chair, who I love that ABC News calls the chairman, her name is Robin Denholm. She sold another $75 million in the last few weeks, which gets her to over $500 million. 600 million for the last year or so. So this is just ugly. It's just ugly. But anyway,
fascinating.
I've already gone too long. Those are my 4 stories of the week.
I feel like story of the week is hard to say. Jamie Dimon Says is a story of the week. It's
Come on, you want to do Ben and Jerry's. Come on.
Well, Ben and Jerry's feels like pandering to the one person that you talk to.
I live in New England. I like their ice cream, and one of the owners went to one of the colleges I went to. So I am pandering.
This week, I'm going to do something that I hate to do, but it has to be done.
Yeah?
I'm going to choose the turn on Musk.
Okay. So you actually see it as a turn?
I think
a meaningful turn.
I think actually the combination. This investor is Ross Gerber. He is talking about Musk for years.
He's a long-time critic.
He owns some stake in it, but he constantly is in the media about being a Tesla investor.
Yeah, why him? Why not us?
I don't know that he matters nearly as much. I actually think, though, the combination of the price being down as far as it is and the Cybertruck recall and suddenly questions if Musk is out in the world saying, quote, I don't understand. What did he say? I've never done anything harmful. Tesla is a peaceful company, right?
My companies make great products, which is, that's debatable. But my companies make great products that people love, also debatable. And I've never physically hurt anyone. That's one of his
congratulations.
Yeah. I don't believe that either, by the way.
In the same week that basically he had to drive Teslas onto the lawn of the White House in order to sell some because no one wants them, there are 50 headlines a day about Teslas being set on fire, Tesla charging stations being set on fire, vandalism. They announced anyone who vandalizes a Tesla is a domestic terrorist, which honestly is really hurtful to actual terrorists. Are we suggesting that a real terrorist who like a 9/11 terrorist is now equated to someone who
that wide swaths of the population are literally afraid of. They're afraid of commuting to their jobs because they're afraid of the mayhem that terrorists
because people are going to I don't know. So I think there's a real turn in the investor view. I think people were willing to put up with a lot. I think there's a real turn.
let me add to Ross Gerber mostly because I want to kiss these people's asses because I'm hoping they'll fly me out there for I don't know why because I went in one of my favorite cities, Edinburgh. I love Edinburgh. But Bailey Gifford, also in the headlines, Bailey Gifford slashes Tesla stake. They're saying it's a record low stake in Tesla. So it's not just Ross Gerber there. And yes, Bailey Gifford, fly me out there. I'd like to.
Well, they're European, so do they count? Like, do we
Scotland
count them
really Europe? I don't even know what Scotland is.
I don't even know. So that's what I'm choosing. All right, let's do. What are we on? That was like the longest story of the week ever.
Goodliest is fast. There's not. I don't see much copy here. Goodliest is fast.
All right. I've got one. You've got two. Why don't you go, and then I'll go.
I'm starting with an old-fashioned one. Why do the only good companies like it's either yogurt or ice cream? Chobani's CEO, they're giving all workers at least 12 weeks of parental leave. Here's the only reason why I picked this one is because I think we should force dads to leave.
Yes.
In fact, why don't we start giving dads? Why don't we give dads longer leave?
You mean take leave, right?
Take the leave. Yeah. Why don't we force dads actually take the even longer leave to the moms and see how it affects their career? Like when they're gone for like 8 months or something. Like let's get them out. Let's get them home a little bit longer.
I took leave with all three of my children.
Yeah.
And I am the primary caregiver in our house.
Yeah.
And I can tell you that every guy who says you're better at this than I am, you just do it, they're fucking lying. Yeah. There is no trick.
It's just effort. It's called effort.
It's called doing it.
Yeah, it's effort.
Not called there's no innate ability that moms don't give birth and have an innate ability to wipe asses.
I've met some shitty moms. Yeah.
But I'm just saying the care is
effort,
not innate.
It's caffeine and it's effort. Yeah.
All right, I'll go in the middle and then you go last. Here's the headline I pulled because I just love it. Tesla Cybertruck deliveries are on hold as trims are flying off the bulletproof truck. Yeah. And I love it because it's not deliveries are on hold. There are also headlines that 46,000 Cybertrucks are being recalled, which is all of them. All of the Cybertrucks are being recalled. Can you imagine if Mary Barra put out a car a year and a half ago and every one of the cars that they sold had to get recalled? If Mary Barra would have a job, what would investors do to Mary Barra?
She'd be lumped into the Elizabeth Holmes, Marissa Mayer club.
Yeah.
They'd be like mocking her and
Like if the Ford family put out a car and the car was every one of the cars that they sold of that new car in a year and a half was recalled because shit fell off the car, their stock would trade down 30%. Like they'd be wondering about lawsuits and all, but Elon Musk does it. And it's just par for the course.
Two things. I feel like your headline undersells it a bit. I like this other headline that says owners complain of metal sides falling off. The side of the car, Matt, is falling off. The side of the car.
It's so good.
The other thing that made me sad. Am I alone here? Did it make you? It made me sad that there are 46,000 of these atrocities in our country. Because I've only seen like 2 of them. I guess not a lot in Maine, but
that didn't make
46,000. Are they all in Florida? Where are they?
That's like do that on a time basis, right? Like they've only been selling them for like a year,
too many,
2 months.
46 is enough. 46. Give one to every state.
Not that many. Yeah.
And in my ongoing quest to find some kind of bipartisanship, I always like to find something from the Trump administration that I can agree with. I think last time was about like selling cheap goods or something. I don't remember what it was.
It was cheap goods.
This week I'm gonna agree with JD Vance. I don't know the fuller context of this conversation. I bet you if I saw the fuller context, I would say that he's an absolute monster and a-hole. But the headline I agree with Matt. JD Vance rips globalization, calling cheap labor a drug. I like that
Ooh.
headline. Although it has no effect on how labor is treated in red states here in America, where
Where they
whatever.
legalized child labor in some of them in the last year. So
And where they spend basically all day busting unions and preventing workers from trying to unionize in the first place. But that's a whole nother
but it's
situation.
the cheap labor that's
I get it. I agree with that.
That's the
I agree with you, JD. I agree with you.
Wow, that's very
Do you want to vote on this, or
magnanimous
should we
of
move
you.
on?
Let's do assholeiest. I don't even want to
It's going to be Cybertruck's sides falling off.
Yeah,
That's the
let's
winner.
go
By the way.
side.
Yeah.
That's always the winner. Well, honestly, if the side falls off of anything except
Side,
for
the
an
side.
airplane, it's kind of
Yeah.
funny, right? Like,
Isn't it a motorcycle if the side of your car is falling off? What is it?
I've got 4 assholeists.
Okay, 4.
But we'll move quickly because most of it is just headlines. The first one is Wah Wah Diaper Babies, which might as well be every single week.
Which version of Diaper Baby? Yeah.
So there's a couple of versions here because here's Wah, our CEO. Tesla warns White House over tariffs in unsigned letter. It's a polite way to say that the bipolar tariff regime is screwing over Tesla. That's the headline.
I like two things I like there. I like the bipolar tariff regime, and I also unsigned letter. Why is it not signed?
Because the CEO is at the White House. It's like
weird.
They
Just
can't
weird.
even sign the letter.
What
Like,
about their independent chair? They have an independent board chair,
our
man. Why can't
CEO
she
is
sign that?
Like literally involved in the bipolar
So
tariffs.
weird. Unsigned letters. Yeah,
Like,
I like that.
who wrote the letter? Who's complaining? Like it's not Musk. The whole thing is funny.
Well, I
How
hear
about
in
this one?
Germany they have more time to write letters because they're not getting bathroom breaks. So yeah, maybe that's a letter
true.
writer
Yeah.
from Germany.
So it was that staff.
Yeah.
Wah, China. OpenAI slams DeepSeek,
I hate
warning
this
the
one.
U.S. government that China is catching up fast.
Matt,
Wah.
there was a wonderful, I think it's from Wired. You shared a link. A professor from NYU, forgive me, I forget her name. She did like an FAQ, a YouTube video about fascism.
About fascism, autocracy, authoritarianism. Yeah, Ruth Ben Girat. She's
I'll
very
find her
famous.
name and mention it next week. It's a great. She's a great speaker. But one of the things she mentioned there, it really is it's about how one of the signs of fascism is basically blaming other entities and scaring you that if you don't let me have full power. If you don't let me be the dictator here, then the enemies are coming and they're going to win.
Let me tell you where that happens very, very
Shame
frequently.
on you, Sam Altman.
Of U.S. companies tracked at Free Float Media's database. Now, Free Float Analytics database. Free Float Analytics actually uses influence on the companies to understand what kind of government this would be if it were a government.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
So it could be democratic, right? Like
Yeah.
everybody has roughly equal amount of influence. It could be something like a monarchy where someone has a lot more influence, but there's no single stakeholder that can get rid of them.
As an example, the Boeing company is considered aristocratic. As an example,
aristocratic is when everybody has advanced degrees, but that doesn't necessarily, it's an elite class of connected people with advanced degrees.
And as another example, Meta Platforms, most people call it Facebook, is the board type is totalitarian.
Exactly. So totalitarian is one of the tags, and that is when one person or a pair of founders, in some cases, but generally one person has incredibly outsized influence on the board.
Yeah.
So that's Musk, it's
Dictatorship.
Bezos, it's Zuck, it's Spiegel, it's all of the tech bros.
Yeah.
In Free Flow Analytics data,
Why would you not use this data? Why would people not use this data?
26% of U.S. companies are totalitarian.
Is it that high?
26%.
Really?
1 in 4 U.S. companies.
Did I miss something? I remember there was like talks of not a mandate, but they wanted to get 30% women on the board. In some European jurisdictions there is a mandate. Was there a mandate to get 30% of U.S. companies to be run by dictators? I don't remember that.
There
mandate.
was not. In fact, this is supposed to be all about democracy in this country, and it is the least democratic.
That's
one of the
scary to
least
me.
democratic in the alternative democracy. And so when you're talking about like the hallmarks of fascism and authoritarianism, and one of them being blame someone else, you notice where that happens the most is at companies. We cover it in the headlines all the time. At companies that are totalitarian. You don't hear democratically led companies complaining nearly as much that China is coming to get them, right? What you hear Zuckerberg say it all the time. You hear Tesla and Musk
I feel
say
like he
it all the
started the
time.
China, yeah.
Now OpenAI, which though not publicly traded, would absolutely be a dictatorship, given that it's a hand-picked board by Sam Altman, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like
he anointed himself king when he didn't listen to the board who fired him.
so this is a recurring theme. Watch what these companies say,
Yeah.
because when they say something like China's coming, it's an indication of how they govern. It's not they're governing for innovation; they are governing for dictatorship. They require absolute protections because, and they want to like run everything, because if they don't, then it falls apart for them. Which is what they're saying. DeepSeek is better. It's doing better.
It's funny that this has to do with OpenAI, because there's another part, and her name is Ruth Ben-Ghiat. She's a NYU professor, expert on fascism. Another part she talked a lot about coups.
Yeah.
And really she would characterize the way Sam Altman came to power at OpenAI basically as a coup.
As a coup, 100%. Yeah. And then
What
there's
else
a
you got?
couple more wah babies here. Wah investors. Bailey Gifford slashes Tesla stake. You already
No,
mentioned
don't make
that
fun
one.
of Billy Gifford. I want them to.
No,
I'm
saying like the man babies don't like their investors now. And then there's privacy considerations. A dad in Norway demanded OpenAI delete ChatGPT's false claim that he murdered his kids.
Wait a minute. Wait. First of all, did he murder his kids?
No, he did not murder his kids.
Are they still alive? The kids?
His kids are still alive.
Okay, so where's the WA there? I'd be upset about that too.
OpenAI claimed that it would be incredibly difficult to do this, and they are not sure it can be done.
Oh, so the WA is not the dad; it's the OpenAI.
The WA is companies complaining about privacy, because what they did.
Yeah.
He is not a public figure in as much as like he's a politician, but he's publicly known. He searched for himself. OpenAI's response about him was that included details about him, like his kids' names and what he did, and mixed in total hallucinations about how he murdered his kids and was sentenced to prison for 21 years for it.
Will you remind me later to never ask ChatGPT about myself? I'm never gonna search myself on ChatGPT.
I have searched myself on ChatGPT.
Did you murder your kids?
It does not say yet. It does
not yet.
It does say that I like Szechuan food, though. That so far has been
one of the hallmarks of tech companies that I hate the most is that we talked about totalitarian regimes. A lot of them are run by dictators. They make absurd amounts of money through their shares, often without the company even making any money for several years.
Yeah,
right?
that's correct.
And yet, when there are horrible cases that stakeholders push back on to fix things, they don't have the capacity. They don't know how to fix things.
We
it's
need
not
to be
possible.
regulated. Like, it's not possible to
let
fix
alone
that.
Let alone it's almost impossible to reach out to these people to even talk to them. But they don't have. They can't do it. They can't. Fix
In
it.
fact, the last one that I have, is I'm back in middle school, and you mentioned this. Elon Musk says he's shocked at the level of Tesla hate and vandalism happening. Quote, I've never done anything harmful. That's real.
Do you think he really thinks that?
But here's the problem.
Yeah.
It's not just that we have dictators and the alternative democracy that are now porting their sort of worldview into the actual democracy in this country, but globally, you're seeing like a move towards authoritarianism. Not only that, but they're middle school dictators. They are not like fully formed adult dictators. This is a man who effectively, after making hundreds of billions of dollars, still feels the need, or I should say, siphoning off hundreds of billions of dollars. He still feels the need to cheat at video games so that people like him, to get his friend to sell his product on the lawn of the White House, to claim, I don't know why everyone hates me. I've never
publicly disgrace his own daughter because he doesn't believe.
He repeatedly talks about his daughter in the most derogatory terms because she's trans.
In public,
In public. In fact, his ex-wife had to beg him on X to pay attention to him at one point because his kid needed something.
I mean, Matt, this is a man who.
What are we doing?
His excuse here is he literally said, "I've never done anything harmful." He's a dad who is publicly shaming and disgracing his daughter over his own company, where he has rigged the algorithm to make sure that he gets maximum exposure.
Yes.
He's shitting on his daughter. That's not harmful. I mean,
he is
crazy.
His
daughter.
Needy.
His daughter.
I mean, it's almost sad. He's so needy. Now, let me ask you this: if you're investing, you can invest in any company in the world.
I wouldn't.
If you can invest in any company in the world, you do an assessment like VCs constantly assess the founders. I've been sitting in front of VCs for 2 years. They're asking me all sorts of questions about me, about my work habits, like what am I like? What do I want to do? Where do I want to be in 5 years? They want to vet whether or not I'm going to be sleeping on the floor, making them tremendous amounts of money. With your vetting, the people who run these companies, where on that list does Elon Musk rank at this point? Like, you could pick any executive, any CEO at any publicly traded company. Where do you put investability in just that executive? Where is Elon Musk right now for anybody? If you're totally objective, forget the FOMO of Mars and, like one day I might have robots that like serve me pancakes. Like nothing he said has actually come true.
No.
He has managed to take billions of dollars from the U.S. government to save himself multiple times.
That's true, yeah.
He has managed to sell this vision of the future. He's managed to keep shareholders hostage, right? He says things.
He did seem to get Trump elected. I feel like that really swayed the election. So he kind of achieved that. And let's not forget that part of that was to pay people $100 in Pennsylvania.
How did he get Trump elected? He hand chose a board that was fully compromised, made it classified, and used the incumbency system against investors who are casually indifferent to anything to make the money to pay to get Trump elected.
Well, for those of you who think that we complain too much, which is probably anyone who's ever listened to the show, that's all we do.
Correct,
I could suggest buy a Hyundai. They just supported. They just came out publicly supporting DEI. They have great warranties, right? I mean, just do that. That's not a complaint. Just do that.
All right. They're not even sponsoring. What are you doing? What are you doing? All right,
Bailey Gifford, fly me out to Edinburgh, please.
Number 2, asshole of the week.
Only number 2. Wow.
Well, don't worry. They get faster as I go.
Yeah.
We've already talked about Stefan Padfield.
Oh no.
He is at the National Center for Public Policy Research.
Oh, I thought he was at Boyer Research. Okay, yeah.
No, Stefan Padfield. They're responsible for a Disney shareholder proposal that got 1%. They were
actually higher than I thought they would have gone. But yeah, go ahead.
Their proposal was to have Disney stop participating in the human rights campaign's equality index. When I say all those words, the Human Rights Campaign's Equality Index, already on the surface, it seems like stupid to not participate in that. But forget that. He got 1% support. But this is why he gets nominated again, because here's his quote after getting 1% support. Quote, "It is not surprising that our proposal received low support given the concerns we have about bias and conflicts of interest infecting the votes and recommendations of the big 5 asset managers and proxy advisors, as well as the company's management."
They're so leftist and woke.
The whole system's so woke. That's the reason why our proposal didn't get any support. He said, quote, "The issues raised by our proposals remain relevant to Disney's bottom line, and we arguably saw an indication of this in the fact that neither ESG nor DEI were mentioned once, directly or indirectly, in Iger's opening remarks, suggesting the company is slowly distancing itself from leftist radicalism embodied in those agendas." Well, Fact check, Stefan.
Yeah, go ahead.
ESG and DEI were not mentioned in Iger's remarks in 2024 or in 2023. So I love when you can cherry pick, we were actually successful because he didn't say the word he didn't say DEI this year, when he hasn't said it in 3 years.
I don't know where does Stefan
probably further. It was Chapek before that, right?
where does Stefan live? Does he live like in the very northern part of Finland? Like, does he not know that like Bob Iger is just responding to the demographics of America? Like, America is not a white monolith living on an iceberg outside of Greenland. Like, it's you can't blame a media organization for creating content that is not meant to reach just Elon Musk and his friends. Like, right? I mean, I don't know what we're talking about, Stefan, but you sound like a dope.
Well, Disney did have the top 3 grossing movies of the entire year. Like the only 3 movies to eclipse $1 billion in sales this year.
And part of that is reaching a wide swath of the American population, not just angry Christians in northern Finland.
But Stefan, if you want to know why your proposal sank, why it only got 1% support, I know ISS and Glass Lewis suck. They suck ass. And I know every company sides with management, almost regardless. But your sister organization, who is equally as anti-gay, anti-black people, the National Legal Policy Center, you guys are like twins. And I know you know each other. I know you guys don't you meet at parties. Your sister organization got a solid 11% in favor at a shareholder support in Apple just 1 month ago because they wrote a proposal about the real dangers of AI. And they didn't mention that black people should not have representation or that you're discriminating against white guys in that proposal. In fact, Boyer Research, who also had a proposal here, had a proposal at Apple that got 10% in favor because they were looking for a report on child sex abuse software. At Disney, when they asked for why do you discriminate against advertising on platforms that have Nazis on it, right? Like that was basically the content of their proposal. They only got 1% support. So maybe the problem is not the big 5, you baby. Maybe it's that you write stupid fucking shareholder proposals. Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Not much. All right. Number 3.
No, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, there's so much to say about this. I mean, I'm looking at, while you're talking, I'm looking at, first of all, a press release from the National Center for Public Policy Research. And they very cleverly have a picture of a man wearing, looks like a tutu in it. I guess that's important somehow to their point of view. And when I do a reverse Google image search, it looks like it's just some park goer having a little fun at some photo booth at the Disney park where him and his wife are both dressing up in like Disney skirts and just having a little bit of fun. Stefan, I don't know what your hate is all about there. And then I'm also looking at a research report that he actually wrote. I guess he was at the University of Akron School of Law, and the title of the report is "Does Stakeholder Capitalism Have a Diversity Problem?" Meaning that really what he's just doing is fighting back against people of color and women because he's just angry at right? Because I mean, the guy is a clown show. I don't know who made him angry at every part of America that wasn't living on an iceberg floating outside of Finland. I don't understand this guy.
That sounds vaguely discriminatory of you against the Scandinavians.
Go ahead.
All right, number 3.
That's coming from a white straight guy, by the way. I'm not exactly. Go ahead.
Number 3.
You should buzz me for that. Yeah.
Have we reached the CEO pay tipping point?
Oh, I'm proud of this one in some sad way because I predicted this, but I also feel dirty about it. Go ahead.
When this is a headline, surge in incentive pay lifts Hanes Brands 2024 CEO compensation to $12.9 million.
Hanes Brands, really? I bet they didn't have a great
cheap
year.
underwear made by like people in Bangladesh.
Sure.
You get a raise. Or how about this? Big companies backtrack on climate goals and bosses' pay. Oh, really? You think so? Like, how are we going to justify their pay since they're rolling back all of their climate goals?
Yeah.
They're now rolling back all the pay related to their climate goals.
Well,
see how that simultaneous thing works?
Yeah.
See how that works? How about Starbucks must end its greed? Bernie Sanders calls out Starbucks CEO for getting $96 million for 4 months of work.
I'm glad someone's pointing that out. Yeah.
And then Klarna's CEO got an 862% raise ahead of its IPO.
Pointless and stupid. I want to add another article to that. I saw this article by Sam Pizzagatti. It sounds made up. But I like this headline. With all eyes on Trump, who has time for old news like outrageous CEO pay?
Oh, yeah.
Kind of sums it up well, right? Because it's like no one can No one's
hands.
allowed to pay attention to anything. Yeah.
It's jazz hands. Look over there.
Yeah, exactly.
There's something happening.
It's
Oh,
the
I just
perfect
got paid.
time for these shameless compensation committees who more often than not are just people are part of the CEO's network or other CEOs. It's the perfect time to jack up the pay.
You
No
know
one's
what's the
listening.
perfect
No
time
one's paying
for if you're an
attention.
investor? You don't have to read a single pay proposal. Don't read one. Don't read the whole thing. Just vote. If the CEO pay ratio, this is your rule, right? If the CEO makes more than the median employee in one day, vote
Yeah,
out
well,
the entire compensation committee.
and
There
I'm
you
being-
go.
And I'm being generous there. I think it actually should be a lot lower, that threshold, but that's a
Let's
start.
just
That's a
start with the average,
yes,
right? Like
it-
the average is ridiculous.
It's
Just-
a good conversation at Thanksgiving, that idea. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And finally, we hate trees now.
Huh?
We hate trees.
No, I don't hate trees.
Here's the headline. Is planting trees DEI? Trump administration cuts nationwide tree planting effort. It's on the, you said it's on the front page of freeflowanalytics.com, and it
You know,
is. Why do we hate trees?
It's
what
funny.
Are they
It's funny you mention
genderizing the
this.
trees? Are they, is a birch tree DEI versus an oak? What's the deal?
Well, in some ways, it reminds me of when I was a kid, talking about Ronald Reagan, who really might be the godfather of this entire movement. Just like a populist idiot rises to power on a bullshit right-wing populist anti-government message. But he famously had a quote about trees saying, "A tree's a tree. How many more do I need to look at?" Essentially, as a way of combating how angry people were that they were clear-cutting forests. So yeah, I mean, maybe trees are DEI, Matt. I mean, really, do we need more trees? I see a bunch out my window right now. How many more do we need?
That's true. That's a tree. I see it. Yeah.
All right,
So they're your options. Wham Wham, Man Babies, Stefan Padfield, CEO pay tipping point, and trees.
I'm going easy on this one, mostly because I want to wrap all this up. But Stefan Padfield, you're my.
Oh, that's the
asshole.
second time. I think you chose him last time too.
Wait, we've had him. You had him 2 straight weeks.
No,
Well, you know I'm. But
there's
you
a
know
midweek. There's a,
I'm
like,
always gonna pick these guys though because
I know.
because
it's hard not to.
There's a shamelessness to the theater, and it's riddled with hate, and it's riddled with assertions made in a 7th grade debate class, and I hate them all, really, honestly. Like,
Actually,
it's sad.
it was great
It's sad.
listening to the AGM at Disney and realize they're just saying stuff with literally no facts. There's no data.
Facts.
There's no facts. There's
is
nothing. They're
what
just
tweaks me.
asserting it, and
This
they
is what
and
tweaks me.
the thing that I actually and I mentioned this on LinkedIn. His references for the shareholder proposal, and I am not exaggerating,
New York Post and
was a
yeah.
Daily Caller.
There you go. Yeah.
Or a Daily Signal, or Daily. I think it was Daily Caller article and a post on X by Robbie Starbuck.
There you go.
Those were his references for why you should vote for him. That was it. There wasn't like a number. There wasn't like an estimate. Nothing.
Matt knows that the one thing that tweaks me, and he's bored to death of me pointing this out, is that for some reason I get Desiree Fixler. She's like the anti-ESG godmother. She pops up in all my stupid LinkedIn conversations, and she's the queen of this. She just asserts that another thing that ESG has ruined, another thing that ESG will ruin in 20 years, and I dig every time for the facts, for the footnotes, for the references. None.
This
There's
is why she
never
keeps showing up. You keep reading them.
I know. I'm
You
I'm
gotta
bad.
stop.
I know. I gotta stop.
All right.
That's
let's
the
do
asshole.
headlines, winners, predictions. Let's get out of here. Oh my God.
I think we can fly now. We can fly. Let me start with just a classic, and we don't have to say much about it, but I like this genius. This is from Fortune. Top workplace psychologist Adam Grant says offering employees better pay packages is the smartest move for the long term.
What? Wow, it's a
I'll just
real
leave that
aha
there.
moment.
I'll just leave that there. Yeah. What do you got? I got a few more, so why don't you take one?
I got one. Donald Trump's favorite musical explained as he demands non-woke theater.
Where's he going to find non-woke theaters? Trump,
89% of Broadway is gay, isn't it?
yeah,
Like,
or
like,
women, yeah, or people of
You know what his
color,
favorite
or, yeah.
theater is? It's Cats.
Yeah,
Is there-
but I'm sure if you, I've never seen Cats, Matt, but I'm sure if you actually looked into the subtext, I bet it's woke.
Well, yeah.
right?
They're all woke.
Aren't
right?
cat
Like, there's
owners themselves basically liberals? I mean, what are we talking about here?
Is it like Andrew Lloyd Webber? I think wrote Cats, didn't he? And he's gay, and
I'm sure.
I'm pretty sure
Again,
that
I don't know.
there's a brown cat in it. So
Matt, there's
I don't know.
there is no art that's not woke. It's defied
By definition.
By definition.
By
Yeah.
definition,
Sorry.
art is
I'm
woke.
sorry. Yeah.
It's not art if it's not woke. That's the point.
My next headline is of the week: Mom of child dead from measles. So she says, "Don't do the shots. My other 4 kids were fine."
Oh wow, I hate that.
Matt, can you imagine that? I mean, this is the America we live in. I don't even know how to I don't know if I should cry, laugh. I don't know what that is.
That might be, in 5 years of doing this, the worst headline we've ever read.
Yeah.
Ever.
But speaking of Desiree Fixler and Stefan Padfield, this is the stage of knowledge and information our country is in right now.
Like the plague wasn't so bad. 2 of us survived. Like,
Yeah.
that's unbelievable.
I got some other kids.
And you're saying that about your kid. As someone who has 3 kids,
Yeah.
that's the crassest thing you could ever think. You should be like that. The only thing
she's brainwashed. She's brainwashed
the
by
only thing that
platforms
does-
like X.
The only thing that can do is basically be a defense mechanism against the immense amount of guilt you must feel for your kid dying.
I don't agree with you at all, Matt. She's probably listening in on Facegram, Instagram, X, and she is getting whatever she's getting funneled. You know that the algorithms are tweaked to funnel this information to her constantly. I had a friend who he used to work at MSCI. He said that he used to drive to the next state to his dad's. Dad was living in an assisted living facility, just to delete the stuff from Facebook that his dad was getting in his feed because it was making his dad nuts. It was filling his dad with rage and fear and paranoia. He would drive there, Matt, just to delete that stuff. Yeah,
delete Facebook. He probably couldn't figure out how to get back on.
So what I got one more. What do you? Go ahead.
I got one more. British Gas Centrica CEO's pay slashed in half at FTSE 100 giant.
Well,
I just feel like we got to celebrate when a CEO's pay goes down.
I will say this: we need to hire salespeople in Europe and in the UK because I am actually I'm seeing a lot of headlines suggesting that CEO pay is going in the other direction in Europe and the UK. That's one of several headlines I've seen that they're cutting pay. So let's not let America set the trend there. My final headline, I had to pick this because doesn't this just give away the entire game of anti-woke? Speaking of Stefan Padfield and Robbie Starbuck, this gives away the whole game to me. This is the headline. Prince Harry's friends are blaming Meghan Markle. And let's remember who Meghan Markle is. She's a black woman, for making him too woke, right? Ooh. That's the whole game. Is that not the game of Stefan Padfield, right? That's all woke stands for. That's all anti-DEI stands for. It's just, right? Just
he hung out with a black woman, and now he's
enough.
Woke.
Yeah, right. That's the ball game.
That's pretty much it. That's sad. All
right,
let's
move on. Let's
so
winners
who
and
won the
predictions.
week? Who's your winner?
Okay, mine's a bit esoteric here. I actually found a very interesting study. The author of the study is Sonia Mishra. She's at the Dartmouth School of Business, professor. The study is, how does society perceive power-seeking women differently from status-seeking women? The study found, and this highlights the data at freeflowanalytics.com perfectly, in my view.
Ooh.
The study found that desiring status is seen as more congruent with feminine stereotypes compared to desiring power, and that women who desire status are less likely to incur backlash compared to women who desire power. Matt, this is the perfect study that demonstrates why on the boards of boards at Norway, where there's a 40% mandate for women on boards, right? Like in several European countries, why you don't see them holding high percentage of influence, according to the data at freeflowanalysts.com. That's because their fellow board members are letting them have the status of being on the board, but they do not elect them to power holding positions.
I love what
I
you just
love
did
this
there.
study.
That's great.
Sonia Mishra, yeah.
My winner is actually a video on YouTube. I don't know how. I can't show it to you right now. I mean, I could, but it's not. Doesn't make for interesting. It's long. It doesn't make for interesting listening. But the video was a part of this headline: Tesla fans furious at video of Tesla crashing into wall painted like road.
Yeah. So
this video is by Mark Rober, who does awesome science-based videos basically for kids, right? Like they're just, he tested the autopilots of Alexis and Tesla.
Like Mythbusters. Remember the show Mythbusters?
It's basically that, yeah. Tesla uses optical sensors and Lexus uses LiDAR sensors, so a form of radar. And they tested whether Tesla's like autopilot with the optical sensors would brake in advance of certain obstacles. They tested the dummy of a kid, and then the dummy of a kid in fog, and then in rain, and then they did this wall where the wall was painted to look exactly like the road. And it turns out that the autopilot runs into the kid like almost every time in the Tesla.
Yeah.
And then in defense, someone said, you should have used full self-driving because the autopilot has this well-documented tendency of turning off right before a crash.
Oh.
And that's why it's crashing.
Yeah.
And in
fact,
the reason why they speculate that the Tesla does that is because regulators have found that the driver-assisted software shuts off a fraction of a second before making impact. But Tesla cannot be blamed for the crash if the auto driving turns off right before it crashes.
Yeah.
That's totally fucking insane.
Imagine if there was someone at Tesla who could be held responsible for this nightmare.
So Tesla cannot be incriminated. It's the driver's fault because the auto drive turns off a split second before hitting the thing.
And I'm sure part of this is that you've agreed to a 700-page right? Contract before you even start using the self-driving car. You don't even know what it says.
It's insane. So big win to Mark Rober for actually doing the tests on a YouTube video.
I got to watch that.
It is terrifyingly good. It is really, really good. So that's
your winner. Predictions. I'll go first. Mine's a little faster. The geniuses at Boyer Research, the geniuses at Stefan Padfield, all the Robbie Starbuck, all of them. My prediction is that they blame female CEOs. Right? You with me?
Yeah, I'm with you. Okay.
In the S&P 500. For reducing the overall percentage of male CEOs in the S&P 500, right? So they're going to come right at them. They're going to blame them.
It is
for
their
reducing
fault.
That. It is their fault.
If there were less of them, there'd be more males. So it's clearly discriminatory.
Yes.
Well, in the same vein, are you ready for this? Because we basically are writing the same thing. Apparently we're the same
But we're not,
now.
though. We're not.
In the same vein, Boyer Research and Robbie Starbuck.
Good, the geniuses,
blame all the women running the Big Five.
Tell me the names of those women again.
The names of those women are Larry Fink, Ron O'Hanley, Salim Ramji, Gary Ratelny, and Bob Mann. By the way, just in case you can't tell, none of those names are women. None of them are women.
No, in fact, I can't think of a more masculine name than Bob Mann. That's a great man's name,
They blame all the women running the Big Five for the failure of their shareholder proposals, demanding a report from each, requesting an analysis of the risk of having so many woke women running the Big Five. That's my prediction.
That's more great research from Boyer Research.
You gotta blame somebody, baby.
Yeah.
Somebody else's fault.
And by the way, Jamie Dimon, one of the people I think paying or working with ISS is Boyer researchers. So according to Jamie Dimon, shame on Boyer Research.
Yeah,
right? Haven't they contracted with ISS?
Yes, they have.
All
They
right.
have
I'm gonna
indeed.
stop
Shame
talking.
on them. That's the show. That's Hazelnut Rawless. I am your analyst, Old Man Mascardi. We are Free Float. Come back next week, where I actually think we have a normal week. Do we have a normal week? We did not do a proxy countdown this week.
No.
Because there's not a lot of
sexy
proxy. No sexy proxy contests happening.
No
or
Disney's, no
season.
Starbucks. Yeah.
So we'll come back next week with the proxy countdown, and go check out Shareholder Primacy, our other pod. We've got some guests coming in the next few weeks too. We got big things happening. Until then, goodbye.
All right, I gotta run inside.
Bye.